What is up, guys? My name is Matt, working for Cinematography Database, and today we're going to be talking about the cinematography of Akana, or rather, this particular lighting setup right here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Akana, she is a self-proclaimed actor, writer, and cat lady. Here's the proof with the cat. And the other day she posted this, which I thought was really cool. So it's obviously a BTS of her lighting setup, and then a shot. I mean, this is like something that would be on my Instagram, but it was on hers. And if any of you watch YouTube things or Facebook things, and by things I mean videos, you guys have probably seen one or two of her videos. Some of the popular ones down here are why guys like Asian girls, how to put on your face, how to fart. So I thought that I would make this breakdown video, and she tweeted it out, and I actually found out who is her director and DP. But this gentleman right here, Eric Lombard, if I'm pronouncing your name right or wrong, I'm sorry, or you're welcome. So go give this guy a follow. I actually reached out to him on Twitter and email, and he told me a little bit about the lighting setup, and I'm going to be doing a breakdown in Cinedesigner and in Photoshop like I usually do for this particular lighting setup. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here's a picture of, I think that's probably not him coloring, but it's him coloring a new YouTube Red series called Search Bar that he shot. So that's pretty exciting. I think that's pretty cool to shoot a YouTube Red show. And before we get right into the breakdown, Eric has a website called One Light Kit or Less, and he does a bunch of really in-depth breakdowns. Okay, so here's his blog post about an episode that he shot for Anna's channel. Has some lighting diagrams. They're not in 3D, but that's pretty cool. We got the behind-the-scenes photos. And really, it's just an awesome breakdown. Look at the gear and some of the mentality that goes behind into shooting this kind of stuff. So definitely check out this website and follow Eric on Instagram. Okay, so here we are back in Photoshop. This is the frame we're going to be breaking down here. I like it a lot. And so I emailed Eric, and he told me some details about the shoot. So I used a 5D Mark III with an 85mm Rokinon prime at around f2 or f2.8 for that shot. Customized neutral profile picture setting. So that's pretty cool. The next thing he told me was, I also use a Marshall 5.6-inch monitor to help with focus, and it has false colors, so I don't use a light meter on these shoots. So if you ever wondered what they shot Akana show with, it sounds like they're using a 5D and Rokinon primes, and I think this looks really good. So for everyone out there that thinks that you need a better camera than a DSLR and that style lens, you're probably wrong, because Anna's videos look really great and they get a ton of views. I think we can look at some nice bokeh here, so that's the Rokinon. And the colors coming from the 5D and any Canon cameras, in my opinion, look really great, especially for skin. Looks pretty awesome. Okay, so here's the behind the scenes of that shot. We see the 5D over here. We see a whole bunch of lights that we're going to be talking about in just a second. And so here's what Eric had to say about this lighting setup. For lighting, we had an Arri kit 150, 300, 650 with a Chimera 1K. So these are all tungsten lights, plus another Arri 300 watt and a Lico for the background. I balanced to 4400 Kelvin because I liked the background lamp to be a little bit warmer, and put half CTB on everything else that was hitting Anna. So that's pretty clever. I like this a lot. He also says, I think we kept the other 300 watt and Lico as tungsten because they were on the background only. There was also some opal on the 150 watt backlight and the 300 watt hitting the cat in the background. Overall, this is a really simple setup. It's just an Arri softband kit, again, of 5D. We have a 1K-ish light bouncing into the ceiling, and we're going to get into this a lot more. You'll see that, again, he balanced the camera to 4300 more or less. And we have blue gel, like he said, on all of these lights. There's probably blue in there as well. There's blue on this low bounce. But back here, it looks like there's diffusion on a 650 hitting the background. We have the practicals, and the reason he balanced to 4300 was to keep these a little bit warmer. And there's also this source 4, which we'll be looking at in just a second. So here's the BTS in Photoshop, and here is the BTS in Cinema 4D. So I've used Cinedesigner, of course, to recreate this set to the best of my ability with the time I had. And we're going to be doing some looking at this lighting setup in some ways that I think is only possible using Cinedesigner. So what we're going to do first is look at each one of these lighting sources and how they work by themselves. This is called soloing. So the first light here, I'm assuming, is like a 1K with a small Chimera, and the light beam is doing something like this, and it's their primary key light, okay? And I don't have the practicals on any of these setups. I couldn't get them to look right, so I just have to imagine some practicals being on. But if you look up here, we have the light coming from this direction, and we have a somewhat clear shadow there. Not much going on in the nose shadow, but that is the primary stroke and shape for Anna's key light. Moving on to the next light is what I would assume is an Arri 650 watt, something like that. And it's bouncing right into the ceiling and adding a little bit of ambient fill from the top. So it's doing a little bit of this, and it's going to go everywhere. That's the idea. So it's going to lift up the background a little bit, and it's going to give a little bit of ambient light for Anna. So we can see exactly how much is being added here. This is just the top light. So a little bit on the hair, I'd imagine, and a lot of bit on the shoulders and arms. It's going to just give this a little bit more fill and feel less theatrical and a little bit more natural, in my opinion. The next light, it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a circular bounce here. We'll see it once we turn all the lights on. And he has, I think, either a 300 watt or 650 bouncing into it and doing this. So that's a little bit of a low light. You can see it in this photo up here. That's my recreation of it. It's going to be filling in under the chin, a little bit of low highlight as well. The highlight's a little bit exaggerated in Cine Designer. We'll go back and look at it in the actual shot. Next is a 150 watt up here on a boom. I have it on a mega boom. He just had it on a C-stand. I just don't have C-stands like that in Cine Designer right now. A little bit of hair light, a little bit of light on the shoulders. It's also going to hit this bounce as well and give a little bit of fill. So we'll see that in this shot there is a little bit of low bounce, and there's also a little bit of backlight. And for the background, we have a 300 watt or 650 watt, I forget which one, and it's coming at an angle like this from the side. And you can see up here in the actual shot that there is this kind of geometric drop shadow happening there, and I tried to match that as well as I could. There was also a source 4 hitting one of these cubes, I think kind of like right here, this area, but I didn't visualize that in Cine Designer. So that was a look at each light source individually, and now let's add them all together as we go. So we start with the key light, which is coming this way, and then we're going to add our bounce light from the top. It's going to go like this. We're going to add this low bounce that's going to go like that. Then we're going to add our backlight like this. And then we're going to add our background light, which is adding light onto the background. There's also the source 4. I just didn't put it in this one. And then let's do the same thing looking through the camera. So we start with the key light. We add a little bit of fill light from the top. Then we add our low bounce, so a little bit of filling into the shadows right there. A little bit of an eye light here, not too much. Then we add our backlight. Again, the hair is getting a little bit shiny. The shadows popped out just a little bit, or the shoulders popped out, rather. And finally, we have a subtle kind of drop shadow, a little bit of more warmth onto the background. I actually didn't visualize the warmth that he was talking about because the background lights were left tungsten, so they would be a little bit warmer than visualized here. And also, these were putting out some warm tungsten light as well. I just didn't visualize it. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our look at this lighting setup. Again, these were pretty warm to camera because they are around probably like 3000 Kelvin, something like that, and the camera is balanced to 4300 Kelvin. We have CTB-ish stuff on most of the lights that are hitting Anna. And this is that lighting setup, and I hope it makes a little bit more sense to you now. Looking at the final shot again, we can see that the key is coming from here, so there would be some shadow here, but I think her hair is kind of covering it. We do see two highlights from the key light and the low bounce. We see the hair light. We can see and sense, I believe, that we have some warmer light hitting the background. That is a combination of the 300 watt with some opal on it and the source for Lico that's definitely popping this guy out. That's what the Lico's doing. I think it's also partially hitting this cat. And we have a really nice looking setup. We have kind of a skin tone and teal look going on using production design, so they're not doing this in color grading, they're just shooting it against a teal wall, and Anna's skin tones are being rendered in a warmer skin tone kind of way. I want to thank Anna Akana for making this Facebook post, this Instagram post, and sharing this with the world. I hope that it's cool that I used these photos, and thank you to Eric for responding to my email and letting us know the actual specifics of the lighting setup. If you guys enjoyed this video, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and go follow Anna Akana and Eric on their respective social media channels. I will see you guys on the next episode. You get out there and plan better, shoot better.